Good Tuesday evening, everybody. Welcome to this December 1st edition of FSU Weather. I'm Casey Cloud.
And I'm Shane Pendleton. And I wouldn't believe it was December 1st if I was going based on what it looks and feels like out there today, Casey.
Yeah, it's still very warm, unseasonable for this time of year for sure. Seeing those temperatures getting in toward the upper 70s in some areas even. But luckily, we're expecting a cool down here as we get into the next few days.
Absolutely. I just changed my calendar this morning to December 1st. And based on the weather, I would have guessed like early to mid-October. Good news though, it's not too humid. It doesn't feel like July out there. One might even call this reasonably comfortable with a nice warm afternoon breeze this afternoon.
Right, exactly. Seeing that, temperatures, when they cool down, it'll be a little bit surprising to the skin, seeing those temperatures near climatology, of course, those normal conditions around.
Yep, the climatological temperatures for this time of year, we're talking about lows in the upper 40s, maybe the lower 50s, with highs up there in the 60s, barely even breaking 70 degrees, which we've been doing repeatedly this week. In fact, this was the first day in a string of several where we didn't get above 80 degrees here.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing those conditions, so finally started to cool down and maybe even some rain on the horizon. We'll get into that more of those details here in just a couple minutes, but right now we'll take it over for an overview of this show with Jake.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Another pretty warm one out there. Temperatures are starting to cool down now that the sun has finally set. Currently in Tallahassee, 73 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. It is quite humid, dew point at 67 degrees with a south-southeast wind, indicative of some weather moving its way into the area. Our satellite and radar shows just that, a big cold front stretching down through the Tennessee-Ohio valleys, down through Texas, bringing lots of rain into the Atlanta and starting to move their way into the Carolinas as well. That's going to be impacting our area tomorrow and through tomorrow night as well. Tonight's forecast, 62 degrees, pretty mild evening, staying cloudy, but the winds are going to be pretty comfortable out of the south. This is going to set up for what's going to be a little bit cooler of a day tomorrow, but with the definite possibility of some rain. Once the front passes, though, temperatures are going to be getting a lot cooler, back down into the 60s with some lows in the 40s. Just in time for finals week, though, things are going to be getting very, very, very comfortable. So that's all I have. Let's send it back to the desk.
Sounds good, Jake. I'm looking forward to some comfortable conditions, but we may have a bit of a hazard tonight. Isn't that right, Casey, with the fog rolling in?
Yeah, and make sure to be careful if you're going out tonight past dark, as fog will start to develop in many of our communities. Make sure to be careful and drive with those lights and those high beams on.
Exactly, and caution will be necessary again tomorrow when we have the temperatures cooling down after we get a wave after wave of rainfall tomorrow. What kind of rain are we expecting, Casey?
We could have some moderate showers around, even maybe a thunderstorm or two possible as well in a few communities, because conditions are starting to become a little more favorable for these to occur.
Yes, we might see the isolated thunderstorm tomorrow, but don't worry, we're not calling for anything severe. These are just conditions that require you to drive with safety and keep that umbrella handy. And then once that's out of the way, we'll be talking about cooler temperatures, so you might want to break out the jackets. For now, let's throw it out to Zach for the local.
Shane, thank you very much. Today's almanac, 79 degrees. Yeah, a 10-degree jump above that average of 69. It's December 1st. Does not feel like December 1st. Our low is 57. We're still sitting in those 70s across the region from Valdosta on through Monticello, Tallahassee, even down at the coastline, 71 in Carabel and 71 in Apalachicola. Even though the sun is set, we are still with those 70s. A lot of clouds starting to move in across the area, trapping in that heat, especially down near the coastline, portions of Taylor and Franklin County, especially down near Carabel and Apalachicola, along U.S. Highway 319 down there as well. Moving through Leon County, portions of Jefferson County, these clouds will continue to keep all of that heat in over the next couple of hours, keep us rather mild tonight. Satellite and radar, we zoom out across the tri-state region. There's the bulk of that moisture, the bulk of the energy moving out towards Atlanta. We've got a couple of patchy clouds here and there, but otherwise we're just looking at that water vapor about 20 to 30,000 feet up in the atmosphere. All this green representing all that water vapor. If you look out towards Texas, portions of Fort Smith and Van Buren, Arkansas as well, starting to get on that dry edge. So some dry air behind it, but first we got to kick on through that front, which will begin to move our way. Our Futurecast will time it out for you perfectly as we move through the morning hours. some scattered clouds, maybe a peak of sunshine around 8, 9, 10 a.m. But then notice that bulk of the energy moves just north of Leon County. Portions of western Leon County may get a little bit of rainfall tomorrow around, say, 3 to 5, 3 to 7 o'clock. Otherwise, just a really kind of cloudy day as you move into the afternoon hours. On the sand, we're talking about south-southwest winds around 5 miles per hour, 66 on the water. That UV index because of the clouds sitting at a 2. That's low. 62 tonight, mild evening, cloudy with the south wind around 5 miles an hour. Again, a lot of these clouds going to keep this temperature, even though we're in the 70s, only dropping to around 62, which is still above the average for where we should be for our low temperatures. Normally sitting around those lower 50s. Tomorrow, 74, not as warm a day as what we saw today. Cloudy day, afternoon rain. We'll keep that chance around 70%. Again, bulk of the rainfall starting around 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And again, much of that energy to the west, portions of the Georgia counties, you have your best shot. Your 7-day forecast, once we get through that cold front, sun, 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 especially for portions of finals week. I know that finals week is normally kind of rainy when it comes down to it for the winter season. So Monday and Tuesday looking rather nice in the 70s and sunny. I'm not going to want to study. Matt, what about the southeast?
I mean, I'm definitely going to need to study. I'm not going to want to study with those gorgeous days there. But we still have to get through Wednesday, and that's what you were talking about. But let's broaden our view out just a little bit here with our southeast look across the nation here, across Florida and across parts of Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama. As we were talking about, or as Zach was talking about before, you've got this cold front draped across down into Texas. This is through Tennessee, down in the Mississippi River Valley. That's going to start moving towards our area, increase our cloud cover and our rainfall percentages just a little bit into tomorrow. You saw that on the 7-day, 70% chance of rain. So be ready for that tomorrow. But we don't expect, in terms of severe weather, really an outbreak of any sorts, just the presence of rain. Now, currently around the southeast, you've got a big difference here from parts of, you could really play the game of find the front, and you really find it right here. See, in Montgomery, you're at 70 degrees, and then parts behind it near Tupelo, you're down into the 50s and the upper 40s in Little Rock. And then Shreveport, you're at 50 degrees as well. New Orleans, a lot warmer. So the difference in an entire state, you go from 72 to 50 degrees. Then, of course, down the rest of the peninsula, we're sitting in the mid to upper 70s. Now, the heat index, it is still around this time of year. We're talking about near 82 and 83 degrees down in parts of southern Florida. But other than that little area down there, the heat index is really not a factor for the rest of the southeast. Water vapor, as Zach mentioned before, this is in the upper levels of the atmosphere, so around where your airplane will fly in a commercial plane, this is how much moisture is out there. And really, it's everywhere across this entire swath of the southeast where you've got that cold front draping through and starting to move towards here. And behind that will be a lot drier and more comfortable air. Dew point around there, you really see it again, illustrates where that front is, because the lower the dew points are, where the front has passed and the dry air is cycling in. Let's take a look at the futurecast as we set this into motion. You see where the energy from the front is, right here draped across Tennessee Valley area. That'll start to move into our area on Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon is when you start to see the bulk of the rain showers move through. Cloud covers as well. Now we're at Wednesday evening as we one more. Thursday starts to clear out rather nicely. Even some snow in parts of the Appalachian Mountains, so it'll be a nice little dusting and maybe a little preview of maybe a white Christmas for some of the Northeast. I don't know, you'll have to see and stick around until Christmas time to find that one out. But tonight, we see that cold front again draped right across the Tennessee-Mississippi Valley area, 38 in Tupelo, as opposed to the contrast, 75 in Key West. Then tomorrow, another warm day here, warming up to 73 degrees, and then across the rest of the southeast, it's warming back up into the 80s and the 50s behind the front. But now we're going to send it on back to Shane and Casey to tell us more.
Thanks, Matt. Now let's go ahead and take a look at weather history for this date. Back in 1876, Fort Myers saw some snowfall. It fell for 5 minutes there, and just extremely unusual conditions for early December. Now, today, though, they in fact got up to 86 degrees, which was the warmest in the country. Tells you a big difference that over 125 years can make.
Oh yeah, 125 years can make a lot of difference, several generations worth, in fact. But when you think about how rare it is to get snow, even down here in northern Florida, to get it way down there by the Everglades, that is exceptionally rare. Unbelievable, really. So getting that high of 86 degrees, it just shows you can't always know what you're going to expect out there in South Florida.
Yeah, a lot of variability in those conditions in those communities. But right now, we're going to go ahead and take it over to Zach as we broaden things out across our nation.
Guys, great story on that snowfall. We do have some snow across the region, portions of the Midwest where winter weather advisories I'll get into just ending. We also have portions of freezing rain advisories up in towards areas of Maine, interior areas of Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. We will get to that in just a second. You saw that cool blast stretched all the way across from the northeast through the Great Plains, portions of Iowa, Illinois, all the way up to Wisconsin. Perfect cyclone right here, or a low pressure system. You can see plenty of rotation with it, tons of snowfall, even some areas of heavy pockets of rain down near, say, Atlanta and portions of Tupelo even getting in on some of that rain. Those airport delays are up there in Minneapolis, again, due to that snowfall. They have been kind of holding steady around 25, 26 minutes for the past hour or so. We'll continue to watch those. Also, portions out towards the east, including areas of, say, New York City, where it's 56 minutes. We're going to continue to watch that, again, all due to this low pressure system right here. Plenty of spin just south of Minneapolis. Tons of snowfall with it, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches as it continues to move through. Now, winter weather advisories are continuing to still be up. We had some even for portions of Bismarck, Fargo, Aberdeen, and down near Pierre. Since then, they've condensed even more so down in towards Ainsworth, Nebraska, Broken Bow, Nebraska as well. Still sitting there through tomorrow. Winter weather continuing into the portions of the Northeast. A bunch of that rainfall moved through Washington, D.C., portions of Dover Air Force Base, Philadelphia, and New York along that I-95 corridor. But we really zoom in on where some of this freezing rain was happening. Portions of, say, Berlin and Birmingham, down near Concord and Manchester, even some of that turning into snow at times. Now, these winter weather advisories, well, we only have freezing rain advisories. That's because the winter weather advisories aren't really for the snow. We are expected to see plenty of freezing rain through Berlin, Birmingham, Lebanon, even down towards Concord and Manchester. As much as a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch of ice could pop up over the next day or so. And this cold front is going to continue to march towards the east, and as it does, continue to bring plenty of wet weather with it and some snowfall for portions of Detroit, Michigan, as well through portions of Wisconsin as it, again, continues to march off towards the I-95 corridor. Tonight, tons of cold air sweeping in from Memphis, Kansas City, even through Minneapolis, 15 in Salt Lake. Tomorrow, we're looking at the 80s down in Miami, 39 in Minneapolis, and 52 in Boston. Again, we're watching those freezing rain advisories through portions of the Northeast. Jake, what else is going on?
All right, thank you very much, Zach. Let's zoom back into our local weather. Things are a lot more quiet. Currently around the Big Bend, lots of consistency. 73 degrees here in Tallahassee. A little bit cooler up in Thomasville, 68. That is our low spot. And Wilma, our high spot at 75. Otherwise, lots of consistency with some scattered cloud cover throughout the area for most of the day. Satellite and radar is showing the rainmaker for tomorrow in action. We have a big cold front from the low pressure system that Zach had described, stretching all the way down through the Sun Belt, bringing rain in towards Atlanta, through northern Alabama. That is going to produce some shower activity, though nothing severe around here tomorrow. Current winds we have mostly coming out of the south. Pretty light, though. Tallahassee, the big spot, 7 miles an hour, as well as Apalachicola sitting at 6. Otherwise, no wind to speak of. Nothing that we can't handle. Futurecast is going to show the rain moving its way in through the day on Wednesday as we see cloud cover beginning to build. And then there's the line of storms forming towards our west by mid-afternoon. Again, nothing severe, nothing that's going to cause any kind of flooding, but could prove for a pretty messy afternoon, necessary to keep the umbrella around. Thursday, though, it's going to quiet down and set up for a pretty nice cool down just in time for the weekend. If you're planning your day tomorrow, we're looking at, as you wake up in the morning, pretty mild, 66 degrees with some patchy fog, otherwise staying pretty cloudy. And as the afternoon creeps its way in, we're going to have rain chances increase to as high as 70% in parts of the mid-afternoon. By evening time, though, it's going to be diminishing just a little bit, though we can't rule out the possibility of an isolated shower, with temperatures staying pretty consistent from the mid-60s to the low 70s. Again, moving into the end of the week, into the weekend, it's going to be cooling down pretty significantly. Tonight's forecast, again, lots of consistency. 62 degrees here in Tallahassee, 62 in Bainbridge, and as we come to expect, a little bit warmer near the water, 66 in Apalachicola, staying mostly cloudy and pretty mild throughout the entire region. Tomorrow, that's going to be continuing temperature-wise, 75 in Valdosta, 73 in St. Mark's, and 74 here in Tallahassee, with the threat of some afternoon showers and maybe even a thunderstorm creeping their way in. Again, 70% chance of rain, with winds coming out of the southwest, pretty light, 5 miles per hour. Through Thursday, though, the winds are going to be turning direction, beginning to be coming out of the north and bringing in some much cooler air just in time for Thursday. 63 degrees for a high under partly cloudy skies. Moving into Friday and the rest of the weekend, the clouds are going to be diminishing even further. Temperature staying very comfortable in the mid to upper 60s, and even a low of 45 degrees, which is looking just beautiful if you're going to go out this weekend, get some last-second fun in before the final exam rush. So that's all I have for your local outlook. Let's take it back to the desk.
Maybe all you have for the local. We'll be talking sports in just a second with you as well. That's just a precursor. Today's December 1st to be exact, end of hurricane season.
Yep, yesterday was the official end of hurricane season. As we now move into meteorological winter,
Okay.
we do hit the end of hurricane season.
Now, even though for a record, Florida set a record, by the way, this year by not being hit by not only a major hurricane, but a hurricane in general. What do you think about this year in review? Obviously, we did have some major storms, including Erica.
Yeah, Erica did threaten Florida a little bit there, but then petered out. Did cause a lot of flooding to the island of Hispaniola and parts of the Caribbean as well. Joaquin was a big one for us. And of course, you're not going to forget about the hyperactive Pacific season where they had Patricia. And it seemed like one after another of major hurricanes.
Yeah, just week after week, they kept going. Again, U.S. spared for yet another year. We'll continue to see how this streak goes on, for how long it goes on. I'm sure Casey at the wall would love to join in on this conversation. Casey, what do you think of hurricane season?
Well, yeah, pretty calm in the Atlantic. Great news there. Just a few storms that did have some effect in some communities that did have some serious consequences, but overall, relatively nice hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin. Now, going ahead and taking a look at those current conditions across Florida, we do see 73 right now in Tallahassee, 72 in Jacksonville. Temperature downstate, though, a little bit warmer. As Shane and I referenced at the desk, you see Fort Myers still 79. Very warm conditions, unseasonably warm for this time of year in these regions. Now, going ahead and broadening the view, though, we do see across our state of Florida, we see that we have some relatively nice conditions here across the peninsula as well as the panhandle. Great weather is around here, so that is some good news. Now we will start to see more cloudiness come in here over the next little bit as we get later in toward this Tuesday evening and into Wednesday as well. You see some rain near the Biloxi area. This is a sign of things to come, folks, and that's associated with a cool front. And that's going to bring us some rain involved with it, of course. Now also we do have a chance for some cooler temperatures behind that as well. They're making for relatively nice conditions here across the Big Bend region and southwest Georgia. Now, current conditions in terms of those winds, we see 7 miles an hour in Tallahassee. Now, 5 in Jacksonville. Pretty calm overall, a little gustier as we get down toward Miami-Dade County, 10 miles an hour there. But overall, relatively calm conditions in terms of those wind speeds across the Sunshine State. Now, water vapor imagery here, we do see in the upper levels of the atmosphere this moisture in the green color really starting to take over across the northern part of the state. We do see the Tallahassee area over to Jacksonville, quite a bit of moisture starting to take hold here in this part of our state of Florida. Now, in terms of radar, though, we don't actually see this translating to the lower levels in terms of precipitation. Now, radar-wise, you see nothing on it in terms of that right now. Maybe a few isolated sprinkles in the Gulf of Mexico, but hard to even detect those at this hour. But again, rain will be moving toward our areas as we get over the next 12 hours. First coast region, we do see Jacksonville down toward the Gainesville area as well. Relatively nice conditions there, so that is some good news. Central Florida, the Tampa area, Lakeland we're talking about, and over toward the eastern part of the state, Melbourne. You see see the radar not showing too much, and same thing with South Florida. Maybe a stray sprinkle around the Naples area, but really nothing to speak of that is worth noting. Now, you see in that forecast, though, over the next couple of days, that rain with that cool front will approach our region. So just giving you a heads up with that. Make sure you have your umbrellas handy as you get into Wednesday, as there could be a little more rain than we were first expecting across the Big Bend and southwest Georgia. But right now, I want to take it back over to the desk. We have our 3 sports experts standing by, talking about college football. I really like Jake's picks. Let's go ahead and take a look at his and the rest of them.
Well, thank you very much for that.
We're tight.
This is
We're
great.
really tight. This is fun. All right, let's go.
All right, let's jump right into it. Hey, I was missing out a little bit when you guys were doing your picks before.
I know.
So
I know.
I figured, why not jump in and give a few of my own?
It's final week.
Exactly. So
Yep.
playoffs are on the way. Let's pull up my bracket right now. Let's see what I got to talk about
I'm
here.
interested to see this.
I got Clemson at number 1, as has been the case for most of the year. Alabama sticking at 2. Oklahoma in at 3, matching what the playoff committee had last year. And because they're undefeated, I have Iowa at 4. My first 2 out is where things start to get interesting. We got Michigan State at 5, and I have them ahead of Ohio State just because of the fact they beat them head-to-head.
You know, I like your bracket a lot. I specifically like the Iowa pick. I don't think you should be leaving out a undefeated team from the top 4.
I agree with that.
I don't think so. And I really like your first 2 out between Michigan State and Ohio State.
Absolutely. Matt, you have some disagreement.
Well, I'm going to go ahead with a not so fast, my friend, on mine, because take a look at this. I pretty much have the same for my top 4. I agree with leaving Iowa in. Of course, we're leaving Clemson in. Alabama as well, and Oklahoma had a commanding win this past weekend. But my first 2 out, Ohio
There you
State
go.
and then Michigan State. I know the head-to-head matchup, you know, you got a little debate there for those two, but
If chaos ensues,
chaos will ensue.
okay, Ohio State or Michigan State can make it, who would you pick? Ohio State?
I'd probably go with Ohio State.
Okay.
And unless if Iowa goes ahead and beats Michigan State, I think if they needed to debate about putting another one in the
It'd be
top 4,
OSU.
it'd be OSU.
Okay, interesting. Let's take it to mine. Not so fast, my friends,
Another one?
because I have Oklahoma above Alabama.
Hey.
I think Oklahoma's value of work over the past 3 weeks, Baylor, TCU, and finally last week's demolishment of OK State. I think they need to jump up, especially with Alabama kind of faltering recently. You know, they almost lost to
Very
Arkansas,
valid.
Tennessee, as Tyler was telling me before, and
Some trouble
you know,
with Auburn
last
week. Yeah.
Auburn,
Auburn.
they started slow. I think Oklahoma's body of work, specifically in the past 3 weeks, skyrockets them to at least 2. Otherwise, our top 4s are the same. And then I agree with Jake. Michigan State
I know.
first.
I'm surrounded by 2 differing opinions with those, but you gotta agree with the head-to-head matchup. I understand that, but I still think Ohio State is the better team there.
Absolutely. This whole college football process, it's all one big
It's
debate.
opinion.
It is. It
It's
is.
all one big debate.
And
so-
they're gonna have a lot to talk about after this weekend.
Exactly. Those
the
rankings
beauty of
coming out in about 30 minutes on ESPN. You'll be wanting to check that out, 7 o'clock. Let's go to my bowl projection
Yep.
for Florida State.
Oh
Can't wait
boy.
for this.
Who is it? Check that out. Can you identify that logo? I'm thinking Florida State goes to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl.
I agree 100% with that
Absolutely.
one. New Year's 6, I think it'll be a good game.
I think for a team that was expected to win only 8 games, you know, a rebuilding year as many pinned it, a 10-2 team, possibly an 11-2 team by the end of it. A New Year's 6 bowl is huge. Jimbo Fisher agrees, obviously. And I think this bowl sets up Florida State, and yeah, I'm biased. I think it sets up Florida State for a very good CFP run next year, 2016.
No doubt about that at all. But here, who's the opponent going to be? What do you guys think?
Houston or Iowa, if they
I
lose.
think. And don't forget, you got the Heisman race too. I really think Dalvin Cook should be discussed in New
Roberto
York.
Aguayo.
Aguayo,
Roberto
he's
Aguayo.
won enough awards.
Hey,
Dalvin Cook is going for
Special
that one.
teams a huge reason we were able to beat UF the other day.
That's true.
Exactly. Great segment as always.
a lot of fun.
That was good. Last one of the year.
Let's send it out to the wall.
We're going to send it to the wall right
All
now.
right.
Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun to hear all your predictions. And now we're going to give you the weather predictions in just a moment. Right now, it's 73 degrees here in the capital. Already sunset out there. We got the moon out bright and clear in Valdosta at 70 degrees. Clouds are building, though. Montgomery is cloudy. And then in Meridian, Mississippi, It's 57 degrees because the front has already passed them. You can spot it very clearly on this map. It's the border between the green and the orange here, and we're going to be seeing more of that on the following maps. Here's our satellite and radar loop showing what happened up there in the skies today. We didn't see a drop of rain here in the capital, but we did see several large upper level clouds, some beautiful ones, kind that we have to pull out our phones and take pictures of as meteorology majors. And the front will be noticeable by these bands of rain building there just to the south of Meridian. They're headed our way. And the big question on everyone's mind is, when will it get here? Well, stay tuned. I'll be telling you in just a moment. But first, we're going to find the front using the winds. The winds in Tallahassee, Panama City, out there on the coast of Jacksonville, they're coming out of the southeast, and they're pushing lots of warm, moist air into our hair, which is causing some of our hair to do some funny things this afternoon. But then out there behind the front, they're coming out of the north, fueling in that cooler, drier air, which I'm looking forward to. Then we're going to have the cold front pass. So here's a futurecast map to show you exactly when and how it's going to happen. Tomorrow morning, we're going to see that front get closer and closer, knocking on Florida's doorstep, as you might say. And then tomorrow afternoon, it's going to slide into our region ever so slowly, probably getting here around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So if you've got afternoon classes, that's when you'll need the umbrella, and keep them around through the whole evening. And then come Thursday morning, we'll still see those clouds, maybe trapping in a little bit of that heat. But then Friday morning, for sure, you're going to want those windbreakers, as our blue arrows indicate here on the map. That air will be coming out of the north, bringing dry and cool conditions to follow. So for our boating forecast tomorrow, all you avid boaters out there on the sailing team and that sort of thing, well, it's not going to be the best boating day out there on Appalachia Bay. We're talking a smooth to light chop, but the rain will be likely, so it won't be too dangerous, but just not a great day to get out there and boat for pleasure. Winds out of the northwest at 10 knots. So let's throw you some numbers real fast. Tonight, 62 degrees and cloudy as we anticipate the front. Tomorrow, climbing up to a high of 74 degrees, 70% chance of rain, so do keep those umbrellas handy. You'll thank me later. And then at the end of the week, break out the windbreakers because it's going to be a cool one. We're talking lows in the mid to upper 40s with highs only in the upper 60s. What do you guys think about those temperatures at the desk?
I'm loving those temperatures. I'm really excited to see the cooler temperatures, make it feel a little bit more like December.
Yeah, 70s next week. It's finals week, right? Next week?
It is.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I've been here for 4 years. Freshman year raining until Friday. Sunny on Friday. Sophomore year, it was okay. Junior year, raining until Friday. You would think it would be the exact same thing, but sunny conditions in 70s.
Yes. It's going to be gorgeous.
I'm not going to want to study. I'm going to want to be outside. Maybe I'll go to Landis. I'll
a good study spot.
on Landis.
That's probably where I'll be going.
Yeah, everybody will.
Yeah, probably. You'll have to reserve your spot early because look at that gorgeous 7-day.
Even the weekend.
Moving into the holiday season. Don't forget, Friday, it's our last show of the year.
Sad.
But next year we'll be back.
We'll be back. We aren't going to. It's our mid-season finale. Even when we are gone, and even when we're still here, like today, you can always follow us for the latest weather updates on Facebook and Twitter at FSU Weather. You can even watch some old shows. Go back and find the funniest show. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a blooper on Friday for you, Matt.
I'm really excited to see that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Just decided. On behalf of everybody, thanks for joining us.
Yep, thanks everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.
23.5-hour break. That was fun.
It was.